Hey traders, John Howell here. I want to talk to you about black swan events. What happened last year, which was a black swan event. People are worried about right now, the virus situation and also the market crashing. Are we about to see one severe crash along the markets here? And I really want to bring this back to some simple things we can look at when looking at the markets. When looking at the S&P 500, looking at the Dow Jones, and looking at the Nasdaq. I really want to share some really simple techniques for you to keep an eye on to tell us whether we are starting to potentially top out in the markets, and we're likely to see some really severe movement on the downside, or the media is just doing their normal thing and they're just going and going and going and going. So guys, I want to share with you black swan events, inflation, and also inflation from a Fed perspective anyway, and then also market crashes. So let's get straight into it. Don't place a trade based on what you'll see in this video, because there is no guarantees of making a profit in the market. It takes you a long time to become a good trader. So this video here is just to educate you to become a much better trader. Alrighty traders, before I do start, over the last 16 years, I've tested out so many different trading systems, scalping systems, swing trading systems. And out of all that, there's one trading system that I've traded for the last 16 years. That's my number one most powerful trading system that gets a massive high success rate. If you go to johnslivetraining.com, I'm running a webinar, an on-demand webinar today. So go to johnslivetraining.com. I'm going to share with you all the details to my number one trading system for the last 16 years. I've tested over 50 different trading systems, and this is my number one most powerful trading system. You can apply it to any market out there. So go to johnslivetraining.com. Now, you're going to love that trading system. Now, the thing is this, guys, let's have a look at this here. So let's have a look at last year when we had the virus situation, and a lot of people are thinking, oh, because right now we're starting to see the news do their talking head thing again, right? Oh my goodness, the Delta variances and the cases are starting to rise. Even here in Australia, I mean, my hometown, Sydney, good old Sydney. For me personally, Sydney is in complete lockdown again. Complete lockdown. Gyms are closed. Things are starting to go absolutely just nuts here again. Now, I wonder why. It's winter here, right? It's a good old cold season. Obviously, the flu season, right? Most people are going to start to become a lot more sick. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Guys, it's just, my thoughts around this whole situation. POS. So we're in complete lockdown here, and people are starting to become very, very worried about, the second wave and complete lockdowns, and is a black swan event about to happen again? Now, I don't believe we're likely to see what we saw last year, which was a complete, absolute shock to the whole system. But here's the thing. If we are going to see that again in the stock market, there are some simple things we can look at to say, okay, then are we now potentially starting to see a topping in the market before we start to see a free fall? Because a lot of the times the market will start to give us some good signs of what to look out for. But until we start to get these signs in the market itself, you got the talking heads doing their thing, right? Viruses, and then 6 weeks later you realize that 90% of they said was a whole bunch of BS anyway. Right? So right now, a lot of people are worried about this whole second wave and, complete lockdowns and inflation and so on and so forth. So where we are right now, remember guys, that we are still in a very, very, very low interest rates. We have trillions of dollars of liquidity on the sides, and they're still going crazy with the market, with the printing of money. So for me personally, I don't believe we're likely to see what we saw last year, but I could be wrong. And so what do we need to focus on in the market itself to say we're likely to be topping out? Well, let's have a look at this here. If we have a look at this market here, right? So we're looking at right now the S&P 500. Is the S&P 500 about to see another 30% big movement over the next month because of what's happening in the markets. So the simple things we can look at to keep ourselves calm, right? Because what we do, we want to make sure we stay calm in the midst of the storm, and especially, and that's why, guys, I strongly recommend you staying away from the news media and so on and so forth, because it's not going to help you make good decisions, right? So you really want to stay calm. So, okay, then what's really going on here with the markets? And if you look at this from a simple, let's actually keep this really, really, really simple. If we look at this from a simple point of view, a simple perspective, that the market is always talking to us. And it's not really the fundamental we need to focus on, but the technicals on the charts. It's got to start to give us some warning signs of, okay, things may be topping out here. Things may be topping out. And so, as you can see, if I let me just bring up a blank chart here for a minute. Let me bring up there we go, there, right? So I'm going to bring up a blank chart. And as you can see, by looking at the S&P 500, what have we done literally since the end of last year, or towards the end of last year? What have we done? We've continued to do what? We've continued to make lows. There was also a slight higher low, rally up, pull back, low, rally up, slight higher low, even maybe a bit of a double bottom, rally up, dibble bottom, right? That's called a dibble bottom, not a double bottom. It's a dibble bottom. We rallied up, we made a higher low, rallied up, pull back, higher low, rally up, pull back, higher low. So, as you can see, yes, we do get these pullbacks in the markets, but the pullbacks have continued to be an upward trend. It's just a nice, healthy upward trend. That's all this market is. And the market continues to make these higher lows through here, higher lows through there. The market will continue to make these higher lows in the upward trend. Now, if we're likely to see a switching where this market tops out here and we start to see a free fall down here somewhere, the market will give us a warning sign first. And until we get this warning sign first, we don't need to be worried about the market free falling again. And let me show you what I mean here. So we have higher lows, okay? So as long as the market makes these higher lows, as you can see, we've got all these higher lows through here. As long as the market keeps doing that, guess what? We're in an upward trend. We don't need to worry about that. The market is so powerful that once we start to realize this one thing here, that we can stay calm, say, you know what? The trend is your friend until the end. We know that story, right? It's the talking heads. And the market makes new highs. That is the news media saying, oh my goodness, it's so bad. Market makes new highs. Market makes new highs. Market goes for a 10% run. Oh my goodness. For the last 6 months, the S&P is up 25%. Right? That's what they sound like to me anyway. So the market has continued to make these higher lows. Where the warning sign would be is that if we're not in an upward trend, right? Because in an upward trend, we have these higher lows all the way up. So if we have one of these lows that we no longer make a higher low, we start to do something like this, where the S&P 500 is right now. If we roll over and we start to roll over here, then guess what? Yeah, now this could be a warning sign of something bigger happening. But until that happens, the trend is your friend until the end. And guess what? The trend is still your friend, and it's not the end. TFE. And so if you go back and if you go back over time, you go back to last year. Look what happened with last year, and this is where traders we don't need to worry about. And if you're trying to short the market now, especially if you're trying to short the market right now, you have like a 10% or maybe 5% probability of it actually doing well, and a 95% probability that we're going to continue up. Just listen to the markets. So if you look at this here from a technical point of view, look what happened here. So we had this low through here. We had a slight higher low. We ran up, had a little pullback. There's a higher low, rallied up, pullback, higher low. So the trend is going up. Look what happened here. As soon as we did what? As soon as we broke this low, so we had a higher low, a higher low and a higher low in the market. As soon as we broke that low, that would be the warning sign to say, hang on a minute, the trend is your friend until the end. This here could be now the end. And the buyers, we're no longer in an upward trend. We're no longer in an upward trend. This is where the warning sign, right? This is where you start to get, this here starts to get the big sort of X, the big sort of warning sign. Hang on a minute, something's not right here. And then guess what? Because that's one simple technique there. And then we started to see a free fall. Now, just because we get this breaking of the low doesn't mean we're going to see a free fall straight away. But that would be the one thing we look for in the market if we're likely to see the next black swan in the markets. The market will give us a warning sign first. So until that happens, the talking heads in the market, we don't need to listen to them. All we need to do is listen to the markets and look at the highs and lows. And if we continue to make these higher lows, which we've done ever since for the last basically 12 months, the market is in a nice upward trend. And every time we get a little pullback, that's not the end. That's not the end. Oh, hang on a minute. Okay, we've now broken lows. This now could be the end. And guys, this is one of the most powerful things you can learn, right? To say, okay, because one of the worst things that we can do as a trader, one of the biggest mistakes that I've made so many times is going based off the talking heads, but then also thinking that I'm smarter than the markets. The one thing that we can always do is, and one thing that we need to do is follow the markets. The market is the big boys, the big boys. The talking heads are just, right? They're just the talking heads. And the market starts to give us warning signs. If I bring this back to, let's go back to Bitcoin chart. All right, this is the Bitcoin chart here. And this is where we start to see why Bitcoin has actually fallen off the cliff from 65. Let's have a look at this here and why I was screaming at this from a perspective to my private clients. So we had low, we had what? We had a higher low from here. Then we had another higher low from there. Then we had another higher low there, and then we had another higher low. So you can see the trend is your friend until the end. Then look what happened. We actually broke, didn't we? We actually broke this low here. This low was the first time we actually broke a lower low compared to this low. So guess what? So now we are doing what? Now we are now changing the tune of the markets. The market is telling us, hang on, something's not right here. And then in this case, we didn't get a free fall straight away. But what did we do? We got up, we ran up, now made a lower high, which is even more powerful. So as soon as we actually broke this 50,000 here, right there on the good old Bitcoin, I say to my private clients, right, we've just broken the 50,000 level now. We've now changed the tune of the markets. If we're going to start to see some strong selling, we're going to get it now. And as you guys know, right, we ran down all the way down to 30,000. And we may not, and this may be the start of some more, even more downside. Because guess what? The trend is your friend until the end. Now, we're not making highs and lows. We're not making higher lows, which is what? An upward trend. We're making lower highs, and what? Lower highs. This is a downward trend. And guess what? The trend is your friend until the end. And until this changes, guess what? We're likely to continue down. And until that changes, we need to bend and mold with it. So as you can see, the market starts to give us warning signs, just like it did back last year when we started to break that low. That low was the first indication. If I go back to the S&P 500 here for a minute, and I go back to there, as you can see, this breaking of this low point here was the indication that something is not right in the markets. And that would be your warning sign. If you're worried about something happening, that is your warning sign. But until that happens, we don't need to worry about the black swan. We don't need to worry about the market's about to fall off a cliff, and we're about to see the second wave and markets crashing and so on and so forth. We don't need to worry about all that sort of stuff. We just need to say, okay, what is the market telling us? And that's where, guys, if most of your time you are filling your charts up with a lot of indicators, trying to get a gauge on this market, please, guys, please, the market is the number one thing, right? Not the indicators. The market, what I've just shared with you just there, if that's all you took away and you never did anything with me again, but you just focus on that one thing, it's going to save you a lot of money. And that's why when Bitcoin was starting to top out, just like I shared with you just then, I was telling all my private clients, right, this bull market is now over. If we're going to start to see some strong selling, it's going to happen now. And then suddenly, bam, went from 50,000 down to 30,000. We literally halved. And so the market starts to give us these warning signs. And until we get this here, so on the S&P 500, it's around this level right here, which is around the sort of, if we start to get below 4,150, then guess what? We're no longer doing these highs and lows anymore, are we? We have now given us a warning sign, and that would be the warning sign we need to do. And until that happens, we don't need to worry about anything else. Same for the Dow Jones. Look at the Dow Jones, right? Dow Jones, we came up, went sideways, came up, came down. We made this higher low through here. Right, low through here. This may be even a higher low through there, but not really. It's just been sideways movement. We can see low, higher low, rallied up, nice big pullback, another significant higher low. If you look at the significance in the markets, right? So we have low, higher low, and then the market sort of went sideways here. You may even call that a higher low, and then we actually broke, and then now we actually broken back up. From there, so that's actually a bit of a question mark there, but that's that low through there. That'll be the warning sign that you're looking for. Same with the Dow Jones, right? If we hold here and we start to do something like this and then break down and we break below there, then we could possibly start to see a bit of a free fall. But until we get this low broken on the Dow Jones, we don't need to worry about the market going into a free fall. Now, remember, guys, just because we do get this doesn't mean we're definitely going to get this here again. Okay, it could be just a little fake out before we start to run again. But this will be the warning sign that we're looking for. So I hope this helps you out today, guys. Black Swan events. When it comes to the inflation of these markets, the market is going to continue to the government, especially what's happening right now. They're going to keep continuing to inflate these markets with the interest rates and the bazookas, right? The bazookas of what they're just throwing right at this market. They're throwing absolutely dead-eye bazooka into these markets. And what's happening right now, they're likely to continue doing that, at least for the rest of this year, I believe. But I could be wrong. And if I am wrong, that's the very first thing that I see happening. And if the market is going to start to see a bit of a free fall in the markets, then you now know what I'm looking for and this is just me listening to the market. I'm not smarter than markets. This is just listening to the markets itself. So hope this helps you out today, guys. Guys, make sure you head on down to johnslivetraining.com. Very first link in the description. Over the last 16 years, guys, I've tested well over 50 different trading systems, from future systems, option trading systems, swing trading systems, scalping trading systems. And this is my number one most powerful trading system over the last 16 years that I've tested and also traded. That I still trade to this day. It's my number one system, and it works on any market. If you want to trade crypto, you want to trade mining stocks or anything like that, it's the number one most powerful trading system out there. And I'm going to share with you all the details and exactly also how I actually find these trades as well. So if you go to johnslivetraining.com, and also on that trading, I'm going to share with you what took me from my first 2, 3, 4 years, somewhere in there, from actually losing money to making money. What was the one thing that I needed to do? If you're losing money right now, that one thing you're going to learn on there is the key to your switching. It's easy to understand, but it's hard to do. But if you really want to know the truth about what it takes to actually start to make money consistently, I'm going to share that with you. Then I'm also going to walk you through the absolute all details to my system. And then I'm going to share with you exactly how to find these trades every single day in the markets. Speak to you soon, guys.